friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drippin' swag too. You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drippin' swag too.
I may be young, but I'm ready.
Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we will be making dinner. What's on the menu? We will be making some homemade biscuits, yes, also some homemade salmon croquettes, and then we'll be having some broccoli and brown rice with that. And I'm gonna show you guys how I whip that up real quick, but that's on the menu, so let's get to it. Okay, so first we're gonna start with making the rice. We're gonna do a half a cup of rice, since I don't think we. So I'm just gonna do a half a cup of rice because I think I'm just gonna make enough for tonight. Well, I'll put a little bit more in there, and then I'll rinse this off. I'm gonna rinse this off real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I did just a cup of rice and about 2 cups of water to that. So I'm gonna put that on the iron, let that be cooking. And then also, I like to add a little dash of salt to mine. Now I'm gonna go on to making these biscuits. Now these are the same biscuits that I made at the food tour that we took not too long ago, actually last month. And here's the recipe card. Screenshot if you want to. All right, first we're gonna start off with 1 cup of flour, and this is all-purpose flour. So we're just gonna do good little 1 scoop. And then it calls for 1/4 of salt. So we have salt in here. And then it also called for, what is it? 1 1/4 of baking powder, right? Yeah, 1 1/4 of baking powder. So that goes in there. And then I'm gonna whisk that up. Whisk that up in there. And I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna cut this in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So half a stick of butter. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna grate it into the flour. Alright, so I got this little piece left. I'm gonna keep going until I can't no more. And also, this butter is supposed to be frozen. So this is frozen butter, by the way. Make it easier to grate. So, I'm down to about this much. I'm really finna just be like, whatever. So, I think that's good. So yeah, so now that we got all of that butter grated in there, we're just going to incorporate that into the flour until like that's all mixed together. And then it says to make what they call a baker's well. So basically what that is, you just push everything to the edge of the bowl and you just like, you know, create a little center pocket. And then you want to take a half a cup of buttermilk and pour it in there. And then you just start mixing everything up, incorporating everything together and making a nice little ball of dough. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit more buttermilk. Just a little bit, a little splash. Okay, so now we're gonna take some flour and then we're gonna put it on the counter so that we can make our biscuits, knead the biscuits, and then make sure that the dough is to the right consistency that we want it to be in.
You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drip the swag too. You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drip the swag too.
I may be young, but I'm ready to give you all.
Alright, so I found a glass cup that I'm going to use. I'm going to put a little flour around the rim. I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. I don't know. So you want to flatten your dough out. You want to flatten it. And then the reason why we're flattening is because we're about to create the layers in the biscuits. So how you will create that is you will just do a fold right here, and you'll do a fold right here. Okay, a little bit of flour, a little bit of reinforcement. Okay, so yeah. So we'll fold that like that. And then turn it around and kind of flatten it out like that. And then like I could fold it again to create a little bit more layers, but we're just gonna have 3 layers, so that's fine. And then, like I said, flatten it out a little bit. And then we're gonna take the cup and make a biscuit.
Degrees. I ain't worried about them motherfuckers over there, but they worry about me. I got a homeboy named Butter and another homeboy that ain't cheese. Well, with me, baby, I may get milk till it drip down your knees. Spit this for real low, brain real low. Kiddo say he looks up to me, this just makes me feel old.
Here are my 5 biscuits. This is how it came out. So now I just need to transfer them to a cookie sheet so that I can put them in the oven, and then that will be our biscuits. So.
Me, I ain't studying to be talking to me. Girl, why you up with me? Move on, ain't nothing to see. Always something soft, I'm the raw, off the rip. Cause of him, all of them will remember the men that they fell in love with rap. Black like having your cousin back, blue like when that rent is due, cream like when I'm loving you.
Alright, so next on the menu we have the salmon croquettes, and we're going to use the salmon in the can. And then we have our little broccoli, our vegetables already cut up. So for the broccoli is going to be the last thing I cook. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in a pot. They're already cleaned off, but I'm just going to go ahead and put them in the pot to get them out the way. And then I have some yellow bell pepper along with some onion already cut up. So I'm going to go ahead and open this bowl. I'm going to go ahead and just dump that into there. Mix all that up. And then I have an egg that I'm going to put in there. Stop, Serenity. I'm going to put a little garlic powder in there. No, Serenity. Pepper. So, we'll put some of that in there.
Ooh. Ew.
Just a little bit of that. And then we're going to take a little garlic. And we're gonna go in with some onions. I don't want to do too much. And then the bell pepper. I feel like that's enough. And then I'm gonna take a little flour just for everything to bind. Sorry, boo boo, you okay? We'll put like a tablespoon of flour in there. That's enough. We go in and we mix everything together. This is something that I grew up on as a child. My grandmother, she used to make salmon croquettes, rice, and biscuits all the time. And she actually used to make hers with cream corn. The cream corn in the can. And it was very delicious. So while I'm waiting for the oil to heat up and the rice is almost done, I have not put the biscuits in the oven yet, so I'm gonna wait to put that in there. The rice is almost done, honestly. I'm about to take that off the iron a little bit, and then the last thing that I'll have to cook will be the broccoli, and I'm going to steam those. Alright, and actually, you know what? It's actually 8:51. My husband, he gets off of work at 9, which is why I waited so late to cook dinner, because I wanted to make sure dinner was like kind of fresh for when he came home. But I'll be back and I'll show you once it's time to start cooking again. Feel good. I knew that I would now. I love you. You love me? You okay? You a big girl? Boop. Boopity boopity boop. You love being a baby. You love being treated like the baby. Is that the baby? Snooga booga 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 booga. Alright, so the oil is hot enough. Go ahead. Just make a patty out of them. Pretty much. I got the oven preheated at 450 and they're supposed to cook for 12 to 14 minutes or until golden brown. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flip these bad boys. That should be, yeah, that's good. That's good to flip. Ooh. Okay, so these are looking pretty good. So you want to take them out when they're looking like golden brown and crispy. Can y'all see that? So this is how the biscuits turned out. They're a little bit darker than I wanted them to be on top, but that's okay. I think the middle is still going to be kind of soft. So what I have here is just some melted butter. I have some melted butter that I'm going to put on top. So how I'm going to do that, I have the stove on high And I got some water in here. I'm just going to pour some in there. Just a little bit, not too much. I don't want to cover it. Just enough so it can sit in there and steam the vegetables. And I'm going to cover it with a lid. It's going to get really, really hot and it's going to steam the vegetables. And I will be back once that's finished. So we use a black pepper, some salt, and I'm going to put some garlic pepper in there. I've already put some butter in here, so I'm not going to put any more. And yeah. Broccoli's done. And voila, dinner is done. So I have rice. And like I said, we put butter and white sugar in our rice. Sue me, whatever. Here's the homemade biscuits. I think that I cooked them a little bit too hard, but we still going to eat them. Here's the homemade salmon croquettes. And we have broccoli, steamed broccoli.